So, Escape Room 2 came out last weekend. Now, I know for most of you that isn't that big of a deal, as there isn't that much hype around the franchise, but I was actually very excited for the sequel. You see, I consider myself a connoisseur of so bad they're good films, and I thought that the original Escape Room released in 2019 was absolutely awful in the best way possible. Upon watching the sequel, I left the theater with the same feeling of enjoyment, but with a somewhat different perspective. This one was far better than its predecessor, and almost came close to being a competent film, yet there seemed to be something holding it back, and I couldn't tell what that X factor was. So I went home and I started to look into it. And that's when I discovered something that blew my mind. Did you know that in the past 4 years, there have been at least, from what I understand, 9 movies released revolving around escape rooms? It seems like an insane statistic upon first glance, but it became more reasonable when I looked up in my hometown and saw that there were 5 different escape rooms in one city. It has become a phenomenon over the past half decade or so, as I've been invited to a couple escape rooms myself, but I don't think I fully grasped the magnitude of how huge they were. So I understood that was probably one reason that there were so many films on the subject, but I still didn't get how there were so many. After a couple minutes of pontification, I figured it out. Of course, these movies are produced in bulk. Not only are they incredibly prevalent in modern day society, but for the independent companies, which most of them were made by, they are super cheap to shoot. All you really need, if you want to make a bare bones version of an escape room movie, is 1 or 2 sets to shoot on for at least 1 day. Sure, the quality of the film will be superbly abhorrent, but you're almost guaranteed to generate a profit, which provides you the budget to make another one, and so the cycle continues. The film that started the onslaught in the mainstream 2019's Escape Room only spent $9 million on its budget and managed to get back $156 million at the box office, which is almost a 200% profit. Although no other film in the genre has reached the same level of commercial success, as the sequel didn't even match its production budget on opening weekend, it still sets the standard that it can be done. Yet the problem with these to someone that considers themselves a critic is that they're never good. Scratch that, they're never even decent. The best one that I've seen, and I've seen most of them, is the sequel that prompted this whole video, and I only gave it a 3 out of 10. However, it does have something that the other films in this grouping seem to fail to realize is a key component to making them work, which is creativity. Hold on, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So I went on the search for more of these escape room movies, and while doing so, I came to a realization that altered the trajectory of this video completely. Escape room movies have actually been around for decades, just without specifically labeling themselves as movies about escape rooms. Exam, Devil, The Cube, even something like Green Room can be considered under said category, although the last one is a bit of a stretch. Now, I know most people are asking where the Saw movies are in this list, and this leads me to a distinction about what should be considered an escape room film. In these movies, although they do generally fall under the convention where the characters get picked off one by one, there is a suspense factor as to whether or not anyone will make it out. In a Saw film, you know that there is a 0.01% chance that a person in one of Jigsaw's traps survives. Meanwhile, in all of the films I previously mentioned, we don't know if any of them will survive, and most of the time we don't even know which character it is that will survive, if there even is one. That being said, after looking at the list I compiled, I found a commonality amongst all of the films, aside from Green Room, which I just kind of threw in there to tell you that you should go watch Green Room. The most common thing that I see critics mention when discussing any of the movies on my list is the creative potential that they had, but that potential never being executed upon properly in one way or the other. And I can't help but agree. I remember watching Exam for the first time and thinking to myself, there's so much more that they could be doing with this environment and situation that they had for themselves. They've been presented with an opportunity to try out so many weird and abstract concepts, yet they constantly resort back to the most basic principles and tropes possible. On the other hand, I watch a movie like Escape Room Tournament of Champions, and I truly believe that it could be a really good film, and by proxy franchise of films, if they focused more on the nuance of the dialogue, hired a better cinematographer and post-production team, and tried de-stereotyping all of their characters. It is so interesting to see the constantly evolving and innovative places and activities these people are being forced through. And although I enjoy the cheesiness that they have, I'm left feeling that if they even put a modicum of the effort being exerted for the set design, the product would have been exponentially better. It's like they always have one or they have the other. These films specialize in either fulfilling the immense creative potential that they have available to them with the idea of escaping an unknown place, such as Escape Room and The Cube, or managing the different personalities and creating a brilliant and mysterious dynamic between the cast of characters, such as Exam and Devil. Yet, I've never seen a movie put both of those attributes together to make a genuinely great piece of art. Well, Green Room kind of does that, but it leans more into gritty realness as opposed to the mysterious sci-fi whimsy that I'm imagining. As the Escape Room franchise has proven, there is so much to work with there. One moment you can be in a bank, and the next moment you can be on a beach. But think about that on a greater scale. What if each escape room was a separate world? You managed to escape from a post-apocalyptic wasteland while losing one of the people to a group of Mad Maxian characters, only to get trapped in modern-day New York, but the characters have a $100,000 bounty on their heads. You already have these different locations in most escape room films, but it's almost like they aren't thinking big enough. The writers would have limitless ideas to work with, and as long as you focused on building up the characters simultaneously, you would be able to have something that is both amazing conceptually and in execution, which the sci-fi genre is in desperate need of at the moment. Usually sci-fi films that are critically acclaimed don't have big budgets and aren't put out by large production companies. The last one that I can think of that fits into both of those categories was Blade Runner 2049. And Dune seems to have a lot going for it, so shout out to Denis Villeneuve. That being said, could you imagine an escape room film like I described being directed by someone like Christopher Nolan and written by someone like Charlie Kaufman? That would, given everything goes well, blow every other science fiction film since the turn of the millennium out of the water. Now, I know I've kind of gone off the rails for the past couple minutes or so, but my original point still stands. There's so much potential in a well-done escape room movie that has the right people, the right money, and most importantly, the right ideas behind it. The closest thing I can think of to fulfilling that potential is Cube, as it does a very good job at individualizing and developing the characters, and being forced to figure out how to get out of a monotonous cube is a pretty interesting concept. But the dialogue and the world building still falls short. Devil probably could have been great if M. Night Shyamalan wasn't behind it. That being said, there's no point in speculating over the future and the present, I guess. Although I truly think there could be a great escape room film, the ones we have right now are just as enjoyable because of how bad they are. There was one that I watched for research before making this called Escape Room: Quest of Fear. And first of all, that doesn't even make any sense. But anyways, it looked like it was made for $50 and not a penny more. And I've recently come around to the fact that the best so bad they're good movies are ones that look like they're shot on a $20 camcorder. So, although I would rather watch a good movie over a bad movie every time, who am I to scrutinize a product when it still brings a smile to my face? So for now, I guess I'll just be satisfied with what we're given and anticipate a future where Escape Room 3 is the best movie to ever be released. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're having a good day. If you liked the video, you can like, comment, and subscribe. whatever you want to do, any combination of the three of those. I'd like to thank my patrons, Weston Katecki and Carl McGee, and my producer, the BC Film Reviews. If you're interested in supporting the channel, you can find my Patreon in the description and also my Twitter. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will talk to you in the next one. Goodbye.